So if you're watching this right now, thank you so much for subscribing and tuning back in. I know I don't have much views, but hopefully they will rise. Now, for my first debut for my new videos or whatever, I'm going to do The Hunger Games, everything you need to know. Okay, so first I'm going to start with book 1 of The Hunger Games, of course, and I'm going to go through them in order, of course. Why wouldn't I do that? So, The Hunger Games, I don't have the book with me, so you'll have to look for the cover if you really, really want to. This is what number 2 looks like, Catching Fire. Woo! And this is what the next one looks like, Mockingjay. The first thing I want to say is I find that the Hunger Games trilogy is super sold out now. Too much people are like, oh yeah, Team Peeta, Team Gale, whatever. And it's just like one of those things like Twilight. And I'm sorry, but it's like Harry Potter. It's like one of those book series that everyone gets into at the same time when they came out a long time ago and they had like the original fans. So, if you're really not into reading and you'd rather just go see all the movies and you don't really care about spoilers, this is the video for you because I'm going to give away a lot. You probably, since the movie already came out or you've already seen the trailer, you pretty much know what it's about. There is a girl called Katniss and she lives in District 12. There is 12 districts in all. Oh, no there isn't, but I'll explain that later. Katniss has this very studly-ish friend called Gale. Of course, they're just friends, so in the beginning of the book, she's like, oh, there's no romantic possibilities between me and Gale. We've been friends for so long, you know? Of course, she's an idiot girl, and feelings always get into the way. So, Katniss lives her life with her sister Prim. Yes, and her mother, and her father died in a coal mining accident. So the books are based around these games that are held once every year, called the Hunger Games. Kids from 12 to 18 are picked out of a giant thing, whatever, and 2 of every district have to go and compete for their lives in the Hunger Games. That Hunger Games is a fight to the death, so if you get picked, you're basically screwed and you will die, unless you're like buff or super skilled at something and not a baker like Peeta. And of course, this is a story, so the unexpected but that you actually expect happens. I know it makes no sense, but if you think about it, it does. So, it's Prim's first Hunger Games, because she's turned 12, and Katniss is like, Prim, your name's only in there once, girl. Don't worry about it, sister. But then, of course, Prim gets picked to go to the Hunger Games. So Katniss is like, I volunteer as tribute. Alright, so now I'll start with everything you need to know. So I'll stop explaining the book and give out spoilers and say why you shouldn't read these books. I know, I just said it. I regret reading these books. First of all, everything you predict happens. So of course, out of all 3 books, I personally find that The Hunger Games #1 is the best one. And it wasn't that good, actually. Alright, so let's think about it. There's 3 books. #1 is called The Hunger Games, so she competes in The Hunger Games for the first one. Wait a minute, there's 2 other books, so that means she survives. Obviously know by now that she's torn between Gale and Peeta the whole damn time because of everyone turning this into Twilight and saying, I'm Team Gale, I'm Team Peeta. Wait a minute, if they're torn between Peeta and Gale the whole time, that means Peeta survives the Hunger Games in the first book too. So besides all of the really obvious stuff that happens, there is a couple twists and turns that make you go, run Katniss, run, or oh shit. Personally, I like books that make me cry, and I will admit The Hunger Games did not make me cry. The only part, of course, I think that most of the world cried on was when Rue died. But of course, when children die, everyone cries, right? And that's all you need to know about The Hunger Games. Okay, so now I'm going to do Catching Fire. And I'm going to detail this more than I did with The Hunger Games because, of course, there's no movie yet, so a lot of you won't know what happens. So this is what it looks like. Ooh. Okay, so Katniss comes back home from The Hunger Games, and then Gale kisses her. Woof. They don't really talk to each other after the kiss, so Katniss is like, oh my god, he kissed me. Oh, we're not just friends after all. What about Peeta? Was that all fake? And she's just going on and on and on about it, and she's kind of crazy, so. Then all of a sudden, one day, Snow, the president, knocks at her door, and he's like super creepy. He tells Katniss that she better keep going this romance thing with Peeta because the Capitol people really like it, and she's the symbol of this war, so if she makes one dumb move, then all hell will break loose in the Capitol, and Snow really doesn't want that. Also, the book goes on and on about how Snow's breath smells like blood, and how the rose kind of symbolizes him, and it's like kind of really like creepy, like whose breath smells like blood? What have you been eating? So Katniss and Peeta go on a victory tour, where they visit all of the districts, and they say, "Oh hi, we're the winners! We killed all your children," and then they go, "Oh yay, wow, thanks for killing our children." Katniss tries her absolute best to behave herself, but Peeta, his mouth just blabbles. What Peeta does is he awards District 11 with some of his victory money, and then District 11 start whistling the safe whistle that's very famous in the Hunger Games, and all hell breaks loose because one of the peacekeepers ends up shooting a guy. Who knew somebody could die because of whistling? So people die, and Snow really doesn't like this, and he continuously warns Katniss with these roses until Katniss and Peeta end up on live TV back with that guy with blue hair, I forget his name, and so then Peeta proposes to her. But Snow is still menstruating all over Katniss, and he's still not happy, so there's absolutely no way to figure this out. Okay, then District 12 decides to get more strict, and they get a new headmaster. Now this is probably the most famous part of Catching Fire. It's Gale decides to go hunting, and there's a new headmaster, right? So he comes back with some game, and you know that's illegal in District 12 to go hunting. So then the new headmaster goes psycho and starts whipping the crap out of him and almost kills him until Katniss jumps in, and then her face gets whipped by the whip that Gale is being whipped, but they end up saving Gale. And while Gale is like half passed out, like blooding everywhere, you know, she's like, "Oh, Gale," and she kisses him. Then Katniss is in the woods one day, and she meets these two people. The two people say that they're going to a new district, and Katniss sees that they're in really bad shape, so she tries to help them out a little. But she is very suspicious about how they're talking about a District 13, and she was wondering if it was really true. Now, the absolute most crappy part of this book is the 75th Quarter Quirrell, which is a special edition Hunger Games because it's every 25 years. This Quarter Quirrell is all the old victors go back. So, of course, between Katniss, Peeta, and Haymitch, Peeta and Katniss go back and go do another Hunger Games. At this point, I was so mad at these books. No romance at all. Nothing to feed on. Nothing to be excited for. Okay, wow, she kissed Gale a little peck while he was passed out. Like, come on, man, I need some action. And then they decide to torture her some more and send her to the Hunger Games. What is this? So then they go through all the training again and all the bull crap, and then they meet Finnick Odair, and they partner with him, and he is a studly stud. He's going to be played by somebody very sexy in the movies, and he's around 24 years old, so let's hope Zac Efron gets the role. Probably not, but that would be my dream come true. They end up competing on this crazy, like, weird beach that is a clock, and crazy things happen in that arena, and the game makers really try killing off Katniss and Peeta. There's a bunch of crap that happens to them, but they pull through it, and they end up making it. Katniss and Peeta try never to separate. They always try to stay together, and then finally, near the end, they do. Then all hell breaks loose. This psychotic girl called Joanna jumps on Katniss after this whole big plan comes out. You'll have to read the books. I don't really feel like telling you what this plan was. And she's attacking her, and Katniss is like, "I'm dead. My life is done." So she basically doesn't try to fight back. And Joanna rips out something from her wrist or something, and it's her tracker, which they use to track the people in the games. So after Katniss gives up on her life, she wakes up in a helicopter going to District 13. There is 12 districts in all. It turns out there was a secret district, District 13, all along, and they're not under the power of the government. Also, they're trying to rebel against the Capitol. They have Gale in custody. They have Prim and all her family, but District 12 has been bombed and destroyed, and Katniss is home. So finally, they leave you with no romance, Katniss almost dying, PETA is in the Capitol, away and caught, and who knows what's gonna happen. Okay, so now we're at Mockingjay, the last book of the series. This is what it looks like.